Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I am teacher Ale from Kangaroo Study and I'm here to talk to you about 3 must-know facts about full subject-based banding. The third fact is going to be the most important, so please stay tuned until the end. So let's start from the beginning. What even is subject-based banding? So this is when students take different subject combinations regardless of which stream they belong to. And now for the first fact. Under full SBB, students will no longer be grouped into Express, NA or NT. So traditionally, before 2024, a student is going to get a particular score for PSLE and they'll be thrown into a particular stream, whether it's Express, NA or NT. And for 4 or 5 years throughout their secondary school education, they're pretty much only going to be studying subjects appropriate to the level of that stream. This means an Express student is only ever going to study Express level subjects. Now all this has changed. After 2024, instead of streams, you have this thing called posting groups. So you might be tempted to think, did they just swap out the labels? But no. So basically, posting groups represents the indicative level. So this is a starting point for most of a student's subjects at the beginning of secondary 1. So what do I say most? Because under this new system, a student could potentially be offered a chance to take the subject at a more or even less demanding level. And this depends on how well they did for this subject at PSLE. Let's take a look what that looks like. So for students posted to PG1 and PG2, they'll be offered a chance to take subject at a more demanding level, and this depends on the subject level and of course the AL they got at PSLE. So you can imagine a PG1 student, not only could they take a particular subject at G2, if they took it at standard level and they scored AL5 or even better, they could even take it at G3. And now for the less demanding part, there's 2 parts to this. So for English, Maths and Science, if a student posted through PG3, that means the rest of their subjects are all mostly taken at G3 level. But if they took any of these 3 subjects at the foundation level at PSLE, they could potentially reduce this either English, Maths or Science to G2. And then for Mother Tongue, you have these requirements as well. So they could be offered at G2 or G1 depending on your posting group and as well as your AL at PSLE. Now for the second fact. With the removal of the different streams, students will now be put into mixed form classes. Let's take a quick example. Hypothetically, let's say we have these 3 students, Joanna, Josephine and Jerome. And as you can see, they have wildly different subject combinations. Now what if I were to tell you, under this new system, these 3 students could potentially be formed into a single mixed form class. Now how's that even going to work? So as you can see, there's actually some shared levels and some shared subjects between them. So how's that going to work is for, let's say, English. Joanna and Josephine, they take it at G3. They're going to be joining other G3 classmates. And Jerome, since he takes it at G2, he's going to be joining his other G2 classmates. And it's the same for humanities or math or even science. And on top of this, they also have 6 common curriculum subjects such as art, music, physical education, which everyone in the class is going to be taking together. But what's even the point of this? Now, this full SBB is actually not a new thing, and this is an article talking about one of the pilot schools. Okay, so DE Secondary actually got to implement a full SBB 4 years, or I think 3 or 4 years ahead of everyone else. And these were some observations from the article which I thought was very interesting. So first of all, the students' learning needs is always prioritized. And second, a healthy and positive learning culture is established in the school, and students tend to have a growth mindset. And the third one is the most interesting. Teachers themselves, they learn that they have to mitigate and fight their own biases and the preconceived notions that they have about students from a particular class or stream. And now there's this quote from the principal at the very end of the article. It's kind of long, but if you focus on the part in bold, I think it's some very inspirational stuff from the principal of the secondary school. And now for the third and final fact. In 2027, the O and N level exams will no longer be a thing, and instead students will sit for a common national exam. So from the 2027 graduating cohort onwards, that's referring to this year's Sec 1s. At the end of Sec 4, students will sit for this new SEC exam and they will get a certificate which tells them at what level they took a particular subject, whether they took it at G1, G2 or G3. And this is very similar to the A levels, where you have the H1, H2, H3 levels, and PSLE, where you have either standard or foundation. So what are the repercussions of this? But before we discuss that, let's go back to this table. If you really think about it, a student's post-secondary outcomes, that means the options they have when they leave secondary school, are actually kind of decided at this point, the moment they enter secondary school at Sec 1. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look at this infographic, you can see that express students, they are primed to take O levels, and you know that in general they're going to go to JC or Poly or even one of the high NITEC courses, right? And for NA and NT students, they're going to take the N level exams. And for NA students, if they perform well enough, they could be given a chance to take O levels, and if not, they will have to go through the Polytechnic Foundation program or even some direct entry scheme. And for normal tech students, they pretty much only have one pathway. They go through the N levels and then they have to go to ITE. Now, this is a bit of a limiting and a rigid system, because as you can see, the moment they enter secondary school, they are put into a stream, and their post-secondary school outcomes, the choices they have, are pretty much decided at that point. So now after 2024, this has been completely changed. So as you can see, instead of O and N levels, you have a unified SEC exam, and these post-secondary pathways will be decided by the subjects you offered and at what level. So let's start from ITE. All courses have been revamped to now be 3 years, and the difference in entry is only whether you enter at year 1 or year 2. And for polytechnics, this Polytechnic Foundation program has actually been expanded to include even students who took G3 subjects. But I have to iterate this one very important point. Despite revamping ITE and Polytechnic pathway, there has actually been no changes to the JC admission criteria. So if let's say you, or let's say your child, is interested in JC, they will still need to have an L1R5 that is 20 or better, okay? And this L1R5 can only be computed with G3 subjects, okay? So that means if they enter through PG3 but they want to drop any particular subject, it's gonna have to be maybe like mother tongue, so okay, one of the subjects which is not gonna be used to compute this L1R5. And this is to ensure that students have sufficient academic foundation before they sit for their A levels. And now this actually brings me to the end of the video. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in PSLE Math, or you have any questions for us, Kangaroo Study at all, please feel free to scan this QR code and join our PSLE study group. And I'll see you in the next video.